Shalom Israel, this is Brother Amram. Today is going to be a short video covering the fire. Now, I know I said I was going to do a video covering the history of the kingdoms such as Spain, Britain, and so on and so forth, but the Spirit was putting me to go over a lesson about the fire. Now, what is the fire? It's when you are tempted by spirits to go off. We don't have something that's forcing us to go off. We choose. We all having a choice to make in regards of the things we choose to do, whether that's to go off or whether that's to commit righteousness. The only thing a spirit is there for is to test you and to put you to a trial through the Most High, which allows them to do so. And when they put you through the trial, they're constantly tempting you with things that you like or things that you probably forgot about that are in the back of your mind to get you to justify the reason of why you think it's okay to go off. Now, if you endure those things and you continue to keep trust in the Most High, understand His commandments and His goals and what He wants you to do, those things will not phase you, and you will be able to endure the temptation and, if anything, come out stronger because the Most High levels you up after you have completed these tests and have gone through these things that you are being put through. So, I'm going to get this really fast in Sirach chapter 2 and verse 5. For gold is tried in the fire, and acceptable men in the furnace of adversity. So when you're tried, you have to think the Most High looks at you as being acceptable. So because He looks at you as being acceptable, He must prove you by testing you in the fire. And that fire is the furnace of adversity. Whether that's someone around you, whether that is things that you know that can get you easily thrown off, whether that's your phone or whatever it is, the internet. These are things that are being used as the furnace of adversity. So it can be many things. Believe in Him, and He will help thee. Order thy way aright, and trust in Him. Ye that fear the Lord, wait for His mercy, and go not aside, lest ye fall. So if you're going off, you lose faith and you lose trust in the Most High. So you have to continue to endure and believe that the Most High will always deliver you out of whatever it is you're being tested or tempted with. And that's through you saying, okay, I understand what I'm going through, but it doesn't mean that I'm going to allow this to be my downfall, because what would the future me think of? And what would the past me think of after helping me get to where I am right now? How would the future, how would my past actually look at me and see me going off to the same things that I had to work to get to where I am right now? I'd be like, well, hold on, I just did all this for nothing. And then you're making your future even more unreachable. So you have to look at two sides of yourself. You have one side that's the past, and you have the other side that's the future. You must be able to commit actions that will benefit all sides, that will allow you to increase, that will allow you to improve. And the way you do that is through increasing with reading, praying, and fasting, studying, and most importantly, being prepared for temptation. That's why it says in verse 1, my son, if thou come to serve the Lord, prepare thy soul for temptation. So when you are coming to serve the Most High, you must already be ready for temptation. So when you pray, you should already be praying for, hold on, Yahweh, I thank you for allowing me to be able to wake up today, and I thank you for allowing me to be able to uh, see another morning, to be able to serve you. But I also ask you allow me to be able to prepare myself for temptation, because I know that demons are going to attack me today through whatever it might be. But you want to make sure that you pray to the Most High so that whatever it is that those temptations might arise, you know that, okay, I've already prayed for this. So this is what I'm expecting. So I'm not going to give in to those things. And that's what a lot of people kind of find a bit hard to um, break down in regards of in their mind. They hear people say, okay, it's about not giving in to those things that cause you to fall. But a lot of people are like, well, how do I just not give in? You make it seem like it's so easy. And it's kind of where a lot of people get confused when they're talking to people who are dealing with certain things because they don't understand that it's not as simple as just a hop, skip, and a jump. Now, it can be, believe me, it can, because through the Most High, all things are possible. And that's what a lot of people kind of respond to when people ask them those type of questions. They're like, okay, Philippians 4:13, all things are possible. But sometimes people need a real valid explanation to be able to understand in their mind and for them to be fully convinced that, you know what, I'm going to do this. And this is something that I'm going to put my full effort to because this man just told me a story that makes so much sense and it's so inspirational. So I'm going to put forth my best effort. And if I fall, okay, well, I'm going to get back up again. Some people need those things in their life. Not everybody is a robot and they're going to hear certain things that you say and they're going to go and just do it. Like it's not that simple. So the story that I'm going to go over, and I hope this will be very edifying to anyone who watches it, is going to be the story of Shadrach, Abednego, and Meshach. Now they were captives along with Daniel in the land of Babylon, and the Most High protected them and were with them through that captivity because they were righteous men. And the Most High promised us that if we continue to serve Him and, repent from our evilness while we were in our captivity, that He would allow Nebuchadnezzar to preserve us and He would allow him to spare us. And as I said, with Daniel and his three friends being in captivity, they were allowed to be very prosperous, especially Daniel with being favored by the king and also revealing unto him a dream that even his top interpreters couldn't even reveal to him. So he was put in high regard along with his friends. So we're now jumping in time to when Nebuchadnezzar makes this huge image of gold, right? So we're going to read verse 1 in chapter 3 of Daniel, right? So this is Daniel 3 and 1. Nebuchadnezzar the king made an image of gold whose height was threescore cubits, and the breadth thereof 6 cubits. He set it up in the plain of Dura in the province of Babylon. So Nebuchadnezzar here is making an image of gold. Now, to get a little bit of further description, we're going to go to the book of Baruch, chapter 6 and verse 1, because the Most High speaks through his prophets, and the prophets kind of already give you a summary of how the captivity is going to be like and what you're going to be expecting to see in that captivity before it even happens. Now, in Baruch, you'll read that Baruch tells us that this is going to happen. So, this is the book of Baruch, chapter 6, and verse 4. Now ye shall see in Babylon, and mind you, this is years and years before the time that Daniel and his friends are in. Jeremiah was in the time of when Nebuchadnezzar first came to Israel, conquered Israel, and put us into captivity. Um, and he was around into the time of like the beginning of the captivity. Jeremiah died in like 570 BC. Daniel is kind of in the middle of the captivity, towards the end, where the captivity ends, and then Darius comes and takes the kingdom from Belshazzar. Now, Baruch was Jeremiah's scribe, so the things that Jeremiah told or was told by the Most High while he was in prison, Baruch was the person who told the word to the children of Israel on behalf of Jeremiah, right? So this is Baruch chapter 6 and I'm actually going to start at verse 4. Yes. It says, Now shall ye see in Babylon gods of silver and of gold and of wood, borne upon shoulders, which cause the nations to fear. So this huge statue of 60 cubits, right? That's around 90 feet in today's time. We know that things aren't going to be described so simply in the Bible. If you look up what 60 cubits is according to feet as of right now, it equivalents to about 90 feet. Now, that might not seem very tall in today's terms because the Statue of Liberty is around like um 175 feet tall. Now that's pretty huge. But in the ancient world, 90 feet was looked at as being almost as tall as the Statue of Liberty because you have to think men in that time never saw something so big before, ever. And but especially of a image of a human or a deity that they worshipped. Men had never seen something so big before. The only thing you would see that would probably be as tall or big was temples or huge houses, right? So it says, Now shall ye see in Babylon gods of silver and of gold and of wood borne upon shoulders, which cause the nations to fear, because the god was looked at as being very, very precious, and it was looked at so precious to the point where their feet didn't even deserve to touch the ground. They needed to be carried by very big and strong men who were willing and able. So when Nebuchadnezzar made this idol, this was a huge idol being carried, right? And I'll read Daniel 3 and 1 again. Nebuchadnezzar the king made an image of gold whose height was 60 cubits and the breadth thereof 6 cubits. He set it up in the plain of Dura in the province of Babylon. So, as it says in Baruch chapter 6 and 4, it says it caused the nations to fear. So people are like, this is such a huge idol being born upon uh people, and they're carrying this idol wherever they're going, and they're worshiping it, offering food, playing music to it. And to make things even worse, this is where the fear actually comes in. When you jump down to verse 6, it says, And whoso falleth not down and worshipeth shall the same hour be cast into the midst of a burning fiery furnace. So as I just read in Ecclesiasticus chapter 2, uh, that furnace is affliction, and it's a test of spirit. Now, in this scripture, in this verse, this is a literal furnace, meaning that he was saying that if you did not worship this idol, you would be burned alive. But when you kind of link the two and two together, and you link this account up on a spiritual level, you can see that there's a test that Meshach, Abednego, and Shadrach are going to have to be put through. But this is where the fear was put into the nations so that they did serve the idol, because they were like, I'm not trying to die. I want to keep my life. So whatever this king tells me to do, I'm going to listen. I'm going to say yes. You need music? I got you. You need food? I'm going to give you everything I have, all my crops, all the grains in my field. You can have it. You can take it. Just please allow me to live. But guess what happened though? When you jump down to verse 8, it says, Wherefore at that time certain Chaldeans came near and accused the Jews. So these Jews were as you see in verse 12, it says, There are certain Jews whom thou hast set over the affairs of the province of Babylon, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. These men, O king, have not regarded thee. They serve not thy gods, nor worship the golden image which thou hast set up. So as I mentioned earlier, Daniel and his friends were put in high regard from Nebuchadnezzar because Daniel revealed the dream and promoted his friends, because he told Nebuchadnezzar. Nebuchadnezzar asked him, "Whatever you want, I'll give it to you." And Daniel asks of Nebuchadnezzar for his friends to be promoted to um, the top of the province, right? So the fact that they're not worshiping this idol is like a slap in the face to Nebuchadnezzar himself. So you can only imagine how, I mean, just furious this man is from hearing this, because you have to think in his mind, right? I've set up these men, I've put them over the affairs, they oversee everything, and they're supposed to listen to everything I tell them to do. So they're not serving the gods that I have, the God that I have set up. They deserve to die. And that's exactly what he says in verse 13. Then Nebuchadnezzar, in his rage and fury, meaning he's mad right now, he's pissed, commanded to bring Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Then they brought these men before the king. So they were apprehended, in short words. And what a lot of people will do is they'll keep reading, and they'll keep reading verses after verses, but they don't understand what the Bible is really describing here, because okay, yes, the Bible isn't going to be able to describe every feeling and emotion that is had in this account, but it doesn't mean that, as I said in the previous video, that you don't immerse yourself into this and actually envision how these men are feeling right now. Now, why did not Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, why didn't they have the same fear that the other nations had and just serve the idol and kept their life? Because they already know that if they don't serve this idol, they'll be cast into a burning fiery furnace and they'll be burned to death. And that hurts, right? And for one, after being accused by the Chaldeans, the heathen, why are they not in fear right now? Well, that's because they remember one thing. And it's actually in the same book that I just came out of, which was in Baruch, right? So this is the book of Baruch, chapter 6 and verse 4. They know this. They know this because the prophets, as I just said, they warn the children of Israel of the things that are to come in their captivities. So men of righteousness like Daniel, Shadrach, Abednego, and Meshach, they know about these things and they remember these things. And so when they are being brought before the king, they have no fear because they remember. They remember this right here. Now shall ye see in Babylon gods of silver and of gold and of wood, borne upon shoulders, which cause the nations to fear. Beware therefore that ye in no wise be like to strangers, neither be ye afraid of them, when ye see the multitude before them and behind them, worshiping them. So the Most High spoke through Baruch, and Baruch spoke on behalf of Jeremiah, to not fear when these nations are worshiping these gods. Why? Because verse 7 says, for mine angel is with you, and I myself caring for your souls. Or I'm sorry, I skipped a verse. Verse 6, but say ye in your hearts, O Lord, we must worship thee. For my angel is with you, and I myself caring for your souls. See, so the Most High said that my angel is with you. My angel is watching over you, making sure you're protected, so that no evil comes near you. So regardless of what they're implementing, or regardless of what they're saying, I got the angel protecting you. And we know that the angel will not suffer thy foot to be dashed against a stone. Shadrach, Abednego, and Meshach, they all had this mindset. They were all thinking on one accord. And so, because they were thinking on one accord, they had no fear towards this man, because that's what they looked at him as, a mere man. Nebuchadnezzar looked at himself as a god and told people to worship him as such because he believed that he deserved reverence. Because let's get the mindset of Nebuchadnezzar really fast, right? This is the book of Daniel, chapter 4 and verse 28. This was Nebuchadnezzar's mindset throughout his rule of the kingdom of Babylon, right? All this came upon King Nebuchadnezzar. At the end of 12 months, he walked in the palace of the kingdom of Babylon. The king spake and said, Is not this great Babylon that I have built for the house of the kingdom by the might of my power and for the honor of my majesty? So Nebuchadnezzar is exalting himself above the Most High. And that's blasphemy right there. That's why it says, while the word was in the king's mouth, there fell a voice from heaven, meaning the Most High is speaking, saying, O King Nebuchadnezzar, to thee it is spoken, the kingdom is departed from thee. And it was prophesied even to Nebuchadnezzar's son, Belshazzar, through Daniel. But the point is that Nebuchadnezzar was crazy because Nebuchadnezzar knew about the Most High, because Daniel told him about the Most High. And he's allowing you to overtake us and to rule these different kingdoms for things to be in obeisance to you. But always remember that the Most High was the one who gave you this kingdom. And even in the first verse in chapter 4, you'll read that Nebuchadnezzar, he praises the Most High for giving him. Actually, let's go to verse 1. It says, Nebuchadnezzar the king unto all people, nations and languages that dwell in the earth, peace be multiplied unto you. I thought it good to show the signs and wonders that the high God, right, that's the Most High, hath wrought toward me. How great are his signs and how mighty are his wonders. His kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and his dominion is from generation to generation. So in verse 1, Nebuchadnezzar is praising the Most High. But then when you jump down to verse 28, he's denouncing the Most High and saying that he was the one who got the kingdom and the Most High didn't give it to him. You see how cuckoo his brain is working right now? Like, he's sounding like a complete idiot and fool. And so the Most High made him into one when he turned him into an animal, as you keep reading in 28 on down. So, to get back to why I brought this all up was to tell you that Nebuchadnezzar was a crazy man and how he worked and how his mind worked was on a completely different timing. I'll just say that. And when Meshach, Abednego, and Shadrach were all brought before the king, this is him showing that other side of himself. And him saying that, of course, they were going to be cast into the fire and that they were going to die and that their God wasn't going to be able to deliver them. But even through all this, the three holy children, right, they remembered these scriptures among a lot of other scriptures because the words of the Most High must continually be upon our minds, upon our hearts, right? And as you'll read in Deuteronomy chapter 6 and verse 5 on down, they're supposed to be frontlets between our eyes. And we're supposed to teach them our children and our children's children and so on and so forth. So going back to Daniel chapter 3 and verse uh 13. Then Nebuchadnezzar in his rage and fury commanded to bring Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Then they brought these men before the king. Nebuchadnezzar spake and said unto them, Is it true, O Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego? Do not ye serve my gods, nor worship the golden image which I have set up? So he's like, Is this true? He already knows, but he's just asking. Now if ye be ready, that at what time ye hear the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, and dulcimer, and all kinds of music, ye fall down and worship the image which I have made. Well, but if ye worship it not, but if ye worship not, ye shall be cast the same hour, meaning the same day, into the midst of a burning fiery furnace. And who is that God that shall deliver you out of my hands? Meaning he's saying pretty much, you know what I'm saying? Forget your God. He's not going to deliver you out of my hands. I hold your life right now. And I can choose to let you go or I can choose to end you. So y'all got a choice here. Y'all can worship my gods or y'all can die. But what he doesn't understand is that the Most High is behind everything. The Most High can choose in his mind whether or not he wants to spare them or he wants to try to kill them. And Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they know this, which is why they're not in any fear. And 16 says, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego answered and said to the king, O Nebuchadnezzar, we are not careful to answer thee in this matter. If it be so, our God, whom we serve, is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace, and he will deliver us out of thine hand. But if not, be it known unto thee, O king, that we will not serve thy gods, nor worship the golden image which thou hast set up. So they talking that talk. And their life is on the line right now. They're up here roasting the king right now. And they are, like I just said, they're being put in a position to where they can die or they can live. But what they just said here, they're saying that, listen, the Most High will deliver us. But even if we do have to go through this, we're still not going to serve your God, Nebuchadnezzar. So we'll die for the Most High if we need to. So that's their type of mindset that they're having. And that's them still trusting and believing in the Most High, as it says in Sirach. Let me bring that out again. It's the book of Sirach, chapter 2. And I'm going to start at verse 6. Believe in him, and he will help thee. Order thy way aright and trust in him. See, so they believed in the Most High. They understood that Nebuchadnezzar, whatever decision he makes, isn't going to be based on his own will. It's going to be based on the Most High's will. So they're putting their faith and trust in the Most High. And they're saying that, listen, they're talking to the Most High really like, if we got to die for you, Yahweh, we'll die for you. But we know that you have the ability to deliver people from death. You have life and death in your hands. So we're putting ourselves in your hands. Their faith was tested. And Nebuchadnezzar was trying to exploit them, and it didn't work. And he was trying to get them to serve his gods, and it didn't work. So jumping down to verse 19, then was Nebuchadnezzar full of fury, and the form of his visage was changed. Meaning, when he heard the three holy children speaking like this, and remember, this is all coming from the Spirit, right? Verse 16. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego answered and said to the king, O Nebuchadnezzar, we are not careful to answer thee in this matter. If it be so, our God, whom we serve, is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace, and he will deliver us out of thine hand, O king. But if not, be it known unto thee, O king, that we will not serve thy gods, nor worship the golden image which thou hast set up. Then was Nebuchadnezzar full of fury, and the form of his visage was changed against Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Therefore he spake and commanded that they should heat the furnace 7 times more than it was wont to be heated. So this is another test that Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego are being put through. The furnace that they were supposed to be burned in was going to be heated 7 times more than it was already heated. That's crazy. Can you imagine how hot a furnace is? And then times how hot a normal furnace is that burns things as far as probably coals and maybe weapons. Times that by 7 and see what you get. But 7 times more than it was wont to be heated is crazy. And he commanded the most mighty men, meaning the most strongest men, right, that were in his army to bind Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego and to cast them into the burning fiery furnace. And mind you, you know, um, they still have an opportunity to surrender and to say that we'll serve the God that you have. And they have an opportunity to, you know what I'm saying, after being led to this furnace to denounce the Most High and say that forget it all. Listen, we just want to keep our life. Please don't do this. After looking at the furnace being heated up 7 times more than it was wont to be, they still have an opportunity to surrender. They do. But guess what? They're choosing to go through with this because they have faith that the Most High will deliver them. But if they die, then they die. But they have more faith that the Most High will deliver them than to let them die from the hand of their enemy for no reason. You know what I'm saying? So they understand that it's a test more than it is a life or death situation. It's more of a test. And that it's a glorious test of devotion to the Most High, because the Most High takes pleasure in seeing his saints being killed for his name. So let's go to the book of Job, chapter 1 and verse 10, because we got to understand why this is all happening, right? Why is this all taking place? Why is Shadrach, Abednego, and Meshach, why are they being tempted right now? Why are they being arrested, thrown into the fire? Why is this happening? But right, this is the book of Job, chapter 1. Book of Job, chapter 1, and I'm going to start at verse 10. Hast not thou made an hedge about him? So that was Shadrach, Abednego, and Meshach's hedge. They were the province, on top of the province. They were, like I said, doing what they were supposed to be doing. They were chilling. That was the hedge that they had. And they were also keeping the commandments, because that's the real protector right there. It says, hast not thou made an hedge about him, and about his house, and about all that he hath on every side? Thou hast blessed his work, meaning thou hast blessed the things that he does. Thou hast blessed the work of his hands, and his substance is increased in the land. Yeah, I mean, the three holy children were living good in their captivity. But put forth thine hand now, meaning test him, and touch all that he hath, meaning touch this man, right? And he will curse thee to thy face. Shadrach, Abednego, and Meshach. He tempted them, opened them up, and he tried to get them to denounce the Most High, and guess what? It didn't work, right? So, getting back to Daniel, chapter 3, and book of Daniel, chapter 3, and verse 21. Then these men were bound in their coats, their hosen, and their hats, and their other garments, meaning they weren't stripped, they were just thrown into the furnace. Right? It says, and were cast into the midst of the burning fiery furnace. Therefore, because the king's commandment was urgent, and the furnace exceeding hot, the flame of the fire slew those men that took up Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Now, why was the king's commandment urgent? Because he saw that they didn't die right away, right? And when you go into the backstory in the Song of the Three Holy Children, chapter 1 and verse 1, right? It says, and they walked in the midst of the fire, praising Yahweh and blessing the Lord. So when they were casted into the fiery furnace, they didn't die. They were walking in the midst of the fire, praising Yahweh, saying, Call Yahweh Shem Yahushai, all praises. And that's why Nebuchadnezzar was like, what the hell is going on? Like, hold on, did not I just tell them to make the flame hotter to kill them? What's happening right now? So after he commanded them, right, 23, and the king's servants that put them in ceased not to make the oven hot with rosin, pitch, tow, and small wood. Meaning that after the king commanded them to put more fire, they started to put more fire, so that the flame streamed forth above the furnace 49 cubits. 49 cubits is 75 feet. So the flame was so tall, it was 75 feet in the air. And guess what happened? And it passed through and burned those Chaldeans it found about the furnace. So those 75 feet of flames came down to the Chaldeans, not upon the three holy children. They were completely fine. But the angel of the Lord came down into the oven together with Azarias and his fellows, and smote the flame of the fire out of the oven, and made the midst of the furnace as it had been a moist whistling wind. You know, like how humid weather feels? That's how it felt to them. So that the fire touched them not at all, neither hurt nor troubled them. So instead of the fire slaying the three early children, it slew the men that lighted the furnace. So, going back to Daniel chapter 3 and verse 23, and these three men, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, fell down, bound into the midst of the burning fiery furnace. That Nebuchadnezzar the king was astonished, and rose up in haste, and spake, and said unto his counselors, Did not we cast three men bound into the midst of the fire? They answered and said unto the king, True, O king. He answered and said, Lo, I see 4 men, meaning that he doesn't see 3 men. He sees 4 men. I see 4 men loose, walking in the midst of the fire, and they have no hurt. And the form of the fourth is like the son of Yahweh, meaning the fourth person was an angel in live form, keeping those men protected from the fire of adversity, from the fire, the affliction. So when you are in temptation, remember the angel of the Most High is with you. When people are in temptation, they just so quick to give in, but they don't understand that they have the angel of the Most High there to protect them and to deliver them from the furnace. So when you're in temptation, I encourage you to pray, because when you pray and make supplication to the Most High, you'll find out that that temptation, whatever it was, it just goes away. It leaves so fast. And when that happens, that's the angel of the Most High that's coming down into the midst of that fire and watching over and protecting you from the affliction that you're feeling right now. So I encourage brothers and sisters to do that. So it says, then Nebuchadnezzar came near to the mouth of the burning fiery furnace and spake and said, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, ye servants of the Most High God, come forth, and come hither. Then Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego came forth of the midst of the fire. And the princes, governors, and captains, and the king's counselors, being gathered together, saw these men upon whose bodies the fire had no power. I mean, the power of the fire didn't prevail over them, because the angel of the Most High didn't allow it to. So the sin that you are faced with will not prevail over you unless you allow it to. But if you allow the angel of the Most High and Yahweh himself to guide you, that fire will not prevail over you. Won't have any power. No, nor was an hair of their head singed, neither were their coats changed, nor the smell of fire pass on them. Then Nebuchadnezzar spake and said, Blessed be the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who sent his angel. So he's even acknowledging it. He's saying this had to have been divine intervention for this to have happened. So it's an angel who sent his angel and deliverer, his servants, and trusted in him, and have changed the king's word, and yielded their bodies, that they might not serve nor worship any god except their own God. Meaning he's given them, their flowers, saying that, man, these men, they didn't worship the God that I had set up, and they were willing to sacrifice life to not serve this God. But I pray that this was very edifying. And I pray that this was very, very encouraging to brothers and sisters, that they might be able to understand that the furnace of affliction is upon all of us. And we have a choice to make to be consumed by that fire, or to allow the Most High to guide us through it, and to allow the Most High to work within us, and to keep our faith and our trust in Him. Right? Because when you keep your faith and trust in the Most High, things they work out for you. And that's the whole point. To keep your faith and trust in the Most High, to endure that fire, to endure that affliction, to endure that temptation. And no matter how bad it might seem that you might want to do it and go against the Most High's commandments, don't obey that demon. Keep your head strong. Keep your head held high, because that demon will never force you. It will only tempt you, and it will only try to seduce you through words to try to, guide you into the left side. It gets you to try to accept the ways of evil, but it won't actually force you. So always remember that you hold power over the decisions that you make. Right? So I pray this is edifying, and Lord's willing, I will be making more videos. But with that, I go and praise Yahweh B'Shem and my shot with Malaki Abishai. With that, I say, Kwam Yashala, Shalom.